Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Bao, and I'm here with another chess video. Yeah, I might have promised to play, or practice some tactics today, but actually, in reality, I'm going to play another game today. Why? Because I'm feeling pretty lazy and gamey, which is not probably the best time to play when you're in that kind of mood, but we'll see what happens. Oftentimes I find that when I'm in such a mood, I play a little bit too aggressively, a little bit too quickly, and I don't do the correct, or I don't follow my process very tightly, and so I end up getting into some questionable situations. But whatever, we're doing it anyway, and we'll see how it goes. I just realized how loud the music is, so I'm gonna turn that down now. Alright, sorry about that. Now we can start for real. And something I realized yesterday watching over my video, and something I'm trying to really work hard at, is for today I'm going to really try and stop saying you know, that filler word My friends who have watched my videos have already talked to me about it, but it really hit me yesterday when I started watching my video, and the first 10 minutes of it was just continuous filler words of almost after every sentence. Oh, here we go. Finally got a game going. That's awesome. And so yeah, couple of things to focus on today. I'm gonna start with a pretty boring move to respond to his d4 attack. And he's playing quite a safe line, it seems like. If you guys don't know, I don't really know a lot of names for a lot of oh, there's a filler word again. I don't know a lot of names for a lot of openings, but I kind of have an idea sometimes of what they're trying to do. But yeah, since I did want to play a game, let's try to play in a good, strong manner. So let's see what he has open now. He has he has his light square bishop diagonal open, and he can move his queen now, so that's pretty good. And from what I can tell, this square is looking extra delicious for me, potentially, but this requires 2 moves. For now, what I think I'm gonna do is just start off very defensively. This pawn is already defended, but I want to get my knight out while I can. And he's putting a little bit of pressure on my pawn, but that's not too much of a worry. So now I'm gonna just continue developing here. Get me a little extra defense here on this square. But I don't think I'm going to be able to push my pawn all the way up to this square, seeing as I only have 1 defender there. But I guess he only has 1 attacker there, so I'm not necessarily too afraid right now. This pawn that he has pressed onto my c5 line, however, is great, because I can't position my dark squared bishop here on, what is this, d7 or d6 to protect my e5 pawn. So that's strong move. In fact, this seems like it could become a bit contentious, so for now I think what I'm gonna do is actually open the board up a little bit more here. He wants to take some squares, I want to take some squares. I feel a little better developed with my 2 minor pieces here. I'm kind of sad I had to take 2 moves for this piece here. I could have left it alone for a little bit longer, but this I think is going to work out nicely, because I kind of want to put my bishop here, my light squared bishop. This seems like it's going to be a very contested sort of place, so I think this is a good place to have my bishop. This seems like a piece that might get a lot of action, if you know what I mean. So let's take a quick assessment of the board now. I definitely like his pawn structure here on the king's side, all the way to his c file. Am I looking at the board completely backwards? This is my h8, right? Yeah, okay. All the way to his c file. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Alright, he's doing a little pinning mover. That's cool. Maybe he's going to go for the trade. That's cool too. I mean, my knight here hasn't really been activated, and he's holding me down pretty hard. So I feel like this is an excessive move unless he really has some plans with this bishop right now. I do need to create some luft anyway if I'm going to open or castle on my queen side. So I'm just gonna play a nice little nice friendly attacking move, closing the square down even for that knight, so that's pretty delicious. And with this formation that I have, even if the knight does take over there, when he's here he won't be able to move to c5, and this b6 square is also closed thanks to my other pawn on b7 there. So that's cool. That's cool. Let's finally do some activation of my bishop. The question is, how do I want to activate? And from what I'm seeing with this kind of arrangement right now, I'm thinking some kind of fianchetto, and then moving my kingside knight over to, what is this, g4, which will be in danger of here, and then once we have pawn either coming in here or here, it can get pretty hairy, and it really doesn't look like there's a lot of squares for me to go back on, so maybe we'll hold that one in place for now. Actually, once I move my pawn here, move my knight. This is another interesting idea. Move my knight over to the edge here on h5. I have a potential strong connection with this left side, especially with my bishop here as well. All I know right now is that if I'm going to make any sort of active use of my bishop right now, I might have to fianchetto, but actually thinking about this a little bit more, I'm actually going to go with this bishop. Bishop on e7. I like these diagonals better than my fianchetto diagonals, I think. I don't know, it just feels like there's more potential for bishop play on both sides if I keep my bishop here, rather than forcing my bishop onto the fianchettoed line over here. Now that's not to say I'm not going to fianchetto on that other side, or I mean not fianchetto, but lift my g-pawn up to g6, because I like keeping the opportunity of both squares open. That's pretty nice. Okay, let's see what's going on here. We might have a little play on his horsey horse. His knight moving to g3. That looks like the only probable move that he can do right now. He's kind of blocked development on his dark squared bishop, it seems like. That's kind of sad. If his horsey horse comes here, he can attack these two. And he has one attacker here, but it doesn't look too bad. I can always just move my bishop back, or move it up. That would be fun. Or really just put it into a pin. So let's think about the pin idea, because I think the reactionary moves he'll have for the pin might even go as far as this line here, with him trying to aggressively push me back from his H. And so then I'll go back here, and then he'll push me back over here with this G. And then I'll have to push back here. That's an interesting idea. I think if I was pushed over here, what I might do is have to retreat back here, and he'll go here, and I have to retreat back. Seems kind of scary. I think what I'll do is I'll let him take the square for now, and all I'm gonna do is actually do that small defensive maneuver there. So if it does come down to a trade, I'm just gonna have to take that trade. Or I mean, actually, if he blocks, I can move here, force his queen to move somewhere else, and that might be fun. But I kind of like where his queen's at right now. It's not really developed. It's not doing much, so that's fine with me. I don't really mind too much. This was a kind of a little too bit of an abstract and reactionary move. I think I could have waited one more turn on doing that before he even moved. To make up some time now, I'm going to go back to my development and kind of think out how I want to activate my queen. Alright, so he has decided to castle on his king side, and I guess that means that we are going to be pushing onto the king side at some point, maybe. But from the games that I've played so far, the key that I found for me has been honestly just to keep on developing, keep the principles clear for now, and make sure that I'm fully developed before I start on any kind of aggressive attack. And now that I've developed almost all of my minor pieces, as well as my queen, I'm going to leave the castling alone for a little bit. And I know I was saying I should wait until I'm fully developed before I make a plan, but this is a good time to start thinking about a plan. And the first good place that I have to start thinking about a plan is with breaking pawns, because that's something that has to happen for this board to open up. If not, I'm going to have to start thinking about utilizing my knights to start doing some work. And so a lot of interesting ideas start coming to mind. This kind of idea, right? That's pretty cool. Controlling a bunch of his squares from that weak point there. That looks pretty neat. Of course, it is a queen there, so maybe that isn't as easy as it's gonna be. But then, of course, there's this square, which is safer. And this is pretty cool, although it's not as dangerous for him, definitely. This square has a lot of potential attacks of avenues of attack. But the thing is, I can't move this knight. Ah, there he goes. That's that move that we over-prepared for. 2 moves back. this move would open up the attack for this bishop here. So that's a no-go. That's a no good. The reason I have to keep this pawn here is in defense of this knight. Well, I guess now that my queen is here, I don't have to defend this knight, however. So in fact, I can play a little bit up. So let's say I do play a little bit up. What happens? He takes. I take. Seems like it could be interesting. So I think this is where I'm going to break. I'm going to offer him the chance for a little pawn trade. And it'll be interesting to see if he takes it. And interestingly enough, he doesn't take it. Very interesting. Well, the reason why I wanted to do this was for a pawn break. So let's break some pawns and see how he counters. I'm guessing he'll do outside to inside, as he has done. So that kind of settles it for me on which way I want to castle now. Maybe that might have been a little too early of a move, but I don't think it was too bad of an idea. Okay. So now oh, okay. That's interesting. I didn't expect that to happen. Okay. Oh, and he has a beautiful path to my king now. That was well played, I think, on his side. And there's a pawn hanging now. So if he decides to check, I have to move out of the... Oh, he can't check because of that pawn. Never mind. I am safer than I thought I was. That's good. Okay. Well, now he's offering a break on this side. But, you know... I mean... an open board doesn't sound too bad. If I take... he takes... Well, we end up opening up the board a little more. That's hard to say. I think... really, though, this might be my best move. So if he decides to take here, I'll take here. And if he takes again, I'll take with my knight over there. And that'll really open up the board, won't it? That'll be quite interesting to see. So this has turned into a very open game, except for the middle here. Alright, he takes there. I take there. Okay. I didn't expect him to trade that way, but I'm okay with that. I'll trade this way. And I like this row that he has. He's maintained a very strong kind of pawn position in the middle. So that's very cool. So if I move here, queen there, and I move there, and he goes in, is that checkmate? That looks very close to a checkmate, doesn't it? He's very smart. very smart play. So I'm definitely gonna have to lose a rook in this situation somehow. But I'm trying to figure out how to play it correctly. I can't go there or here with my knight because his queen will take it, obviously. What if I go here? It's a pretty sweet move, I think. If I move here, he takes, I take. Seems like we're still in the game after that. So let's do that. Oh wait, if I do that and check. Then I can move my queen in for the trade. Alright, let's do that. This is quite an exciting line. Very exciting. Let's see what he decides to do now. I think the best trade here is for him to just take the rook. It really feels that way to me. But I'm not sure how he feels. I guess we'll see. Alright, yeah. Taking is the right answer there. So now I have two minor pieces and he has one more major piece. This isn't a very good place for me, definitely. This is going to be a bit harder of a game for me to tackle. But I think the correct right move right now is to do this. My pawn structure is all sorts of broken up. So that's something I should probably try and practice on for breaks, pawn breaks next time, is to ensure that I'm breaking into chunks at least, because right now he's literally destroyed. Oh, I guess there is a potential pawn structure here for my F and E file pawns. So that might be something I can get a use for maybe later. But right now, this is they're all just very lonely pawns in the wind. So it's very funny. And he's done a good job of coming and defending this knight preemptively. That's good. Okay. I guess he wants to attack this pawn in multiple angles. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. This is a very tricky situation for me. So let's say I move my rook over here. His rook can either decide to trade or his knight can decide to trade. Rook can just take, but then... So that's probably not something he wants to do. Rook can take without me being able to do anything. But then if rook does that, I can just go in right here. And then rook can take again. Bishop takes. And then queen goes in for the kill. Doesn't seem like a very good line for me. Now if rook does come and knight takes, that's a much better line for me. Because then rook can take. Bishop takes? Rook takes. Bishop takes. Check. Interesting. Yeah. It's hard for me to figure out the right line for this. It's very difficult. This doesn't seem like a very good place for me at this moment. And then you find that one move. It's so silly. Then you find that one move that makes it all happen. It's so enjoyable in chess for me, I think, that you struggle with a puzzle and you think, in this situation there are no good moves, and then just like that there's a simple move comes out of nowhere, and now you're what is the word, skewering the rook and the queen, and then everything is good again. You have potential to win again, which is insane. So that's fun. I'm guessing he's going to do another move. This would be a good time to maybe do some kind of swishin. Some kind of swish and zug. I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought because somebody just texted me here. There I go, saying over and over again. Now he's gonna sit there and think about the move for a while. But yeah, let's see what he does. If he does this as a swish and zug though, it's not enough. I still take. Alright, you take, that's fine. I take your queen afterwards. Let's say he swish and zugs though. Let's say he does this. Okay. Then I take. He can just reply to take. That's fine. But at that point I'll take this. Check. Take. And now we're in some shit. Because he's about to lose his knight or rook. So this is... Oh, this position has gone from royally screwing me and me losing a piece to potentially being down a minor piece or a major piece to now me potentially taking all of his pieces. But of course that's not going to happen. I'm sure he's going to find a pretty good move for this. I'm just still very excited about my bishop move. Okay. So that's a good move. That's a defensive move, but I see. He can take there, come here, and now he has a battery against me, which is pretty neat. Definitely something worth considering. The battery can be quite strong that way. Okay. So now what do we do? Do we look at some other lines potentially? Sadly, I don't think there are a lot more lines for me from here on out. This is going to be quite a hard battle for me to really figure out any other good moves in this position. What if I do this, though? So what if I take happy to trade, then I move up my pawn? Then his battery isn't as strong as it was. Ooh, I like that idea. Of course, once I do move with my pawn, after he takes, he can just check me through here. I'd have to go, he'd take that, I'd run that way. But we'll see how this idea works here. So now he can't do his battery. So I guess the correct... Okay. Yep. Alrighty. And then he can just take that pawn. That's correct. I'm halfway thinking about this move right now, which sounds crazy, but here's my thought. As soon as I do this, I bet you he's gonna do that. Oh, that's bad. I'm forking my queen and my... Oh, that's awful. Okay. Doesn't matter how big the bet is. That's just a bad move. So we won't do that. How about that? That's a better idea. Where I don't make moves where I fork both my queen and my king. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay. So you're giving me a free knight? Alright, that's interesting. Oh, wow. I just almost threw away my queen, didn't I? Right on, right on. That's fair. You make a fair point, sir. Instead, I'm gonna do this. And that looks like the right move. Okay. He's now going to have to be forced to move his rook over. Because that's the only way he's going to be able to defend this pawn. Which is in a very, very important square right now. This square is the check square. And sure, it may right now only be a check square, and I haven't activated my rook yet, but there's potential that I can move him over here. And once I do, this check square becomes a lot more. This becomes a goddamn horror show. But let's see what's going to happen. I'm very curious. I'm not great at predicting open endgames, but when it comes to push and shove, I like playing the open endgame, trying to survive as long as I can, even if I'm not perhaps the best player in the world. Yep. There's that rook move. That's fair. And I mean, if I was him, I'd try to get some kind of quick check thing going right now, but I don't see a lot of opportunities for that. And now I'm putting pressure on his little teeny pawn there, but that's not really what I'm looking at. I'm looking at something like this. I'm also looking at something like this for the check. So let's see what comes up. Again, this is kind of a tight rope walk, if one may say. This is not an easy place to be, right? This is not an easy game. There's the check. Okay. Alright. We're slowly cleaning up the board now, trying to equalize what we have. But it's a pretty precarious situation. And now we begin to activate my rook finally. And I'm guessing his next move. Oh. Well, that's no good. I've put myself into a horrible position, it seems like. This is quite a rock and a hard place for me. It's no good, no good. Wow, this is a really hard place for me. And I think that might have lost me the game. So the problem is, I can't move my queen. My queen is now stuck because it's pinned on this file. And I can't go get a decent trade with my rook because then he can just delay one move to take. Wait. What the fuck? That's checkmate. No, that's not checkmate. All right. This is... Ah. Well, I made a couple of bad moves at the end here. Let's go to the analysis board and figure that out. He played a really great game at the end. That was awesome. What should have happened is me not taking that. Actually, that was fine. And then what was the next move? Then I should have just continued on taking. That's what I should have done. Just be greedy. This is one of those few times when being greedy was the right move. So if that happened, then the next move would be that. And that would have been fine. Oh my goodness. Oh no. That was great. That was great. I felt like we played a pretty amazing and equal game there. Cheapoo playing right now. Oh, he just went right into a game. I think I'm gonna follow him and follow and message him and say, great game. Had a wonderful time playing. Would love to play again sometime. You really got me at the end. Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. Man, I can't believe... I really should have paid attention at the end there, but I let it slip. You let that concentration slip just for even a second. You give up looking at the lines and God. I mean, that was a very obvious pin, and if I had been paying attention, I should have been able to see that. And I didn't, which shows you I wasn't paying attention. So, I mean, it's great. Oh man, losses like that really make you feel like, oh, I could have won. That was great. Oh, it hurt so much though. That hurt so much at the end. So let's just see what kind of thing we're playing here. Queen's pawns are out. This is a relatively interesting opening. It's turned into a great little formation up here. And I mean, I created a fantastic little horrible skewer there for myself. That's pretty bad. And so this is when the break started, and I realized now, just because I give that tension doesn't mean I have to be the one breaking my things together. Of course, breaking out there isn't bad. Of course, it's going to be taken quickly. But yeah, leaving just stray pawns on the side of the board, not my favorite thing to do. Potentially something I could have done is move up here. Knight comes in. I break in. He could take here, but then I'd eat him. He could come here, but I'd eat him. He could come here, but then I'd eat him with a pawn. So, yeah, that's what I should have done here. Just because I start a break doesn't mean I can't make a break chain. And that would have been pretty cool. Of course, the question is, what if he just moves his b pawn up to b5? Well, then at that point, I would have to break this way, wouldn't I? Which is kind of shitty. So maybe a potential idea is just leaving it like this, right? Defending that spot for a little bit more. Or really, I mean, why do I have to break the board? I guess I was feeling a little claustrophobic, but I have all this ample room here. And you know, for somebody who I thought considered pretty underdeveloped, as soon as the breaks happened, he really jumped into the game pretty fine. Something I might want to consider next time is before I break, before I b4, right? Before I b4. Oh, that's too horrible. Oh, that pun is just awful. Before I b4, maybe next time I will first, right? I'll castle first, get out of the skewer. Castle first. Because he b3'd? Oh no, he b4'd. Delete. He b4'd. Right, that makes sense. Do that. And then what was it? He took back. Then he's just started breaking everywhere. Wow, this is a lot of breaking, actually. So yeah, I don't know what would have happened after that. Maybe he might have gone something like that, which would make sense. Because then we'd be talking about opening this room for his knight there. At which point, why not? Why not go big or go home, son? Something like that, I guess? Yeah. Connect my final chain, my final formation. And if he goes in here, that's horrible. That's a really nice fork with no way of paying it back. So what might be appropriate at this point is something like this. Oh no, that's bad. Oh no, that's good. Yeah. But potentially he could do this then. Right. Right. Then what happens? Then he's fucked. Huh. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think before breaking, deciding on a side to castle, I think would have been the proper move to make. I really enjoyed making this very closed off formation for a while though. That was very cool. After this break, a bunch of things happened. Bunch of trades. And then he was ahead by about 3 points. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Yep, by 3 points. And then we got into... And then we were even on points again. So that was sick, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Uh-huh. And then we played a lot. He took a bunch of my pawns. Then he, I almost took his knight, which was... That was shit. And then I got into a great position. And then I let it all fall to the floor. I regret everything. No, I'm just kidding. I regret nothing. But yeah, that was a fun game. And I would like to see what the computer has to say about how horribly I played. So let's take a look now. Let's take a look at what happened here. It honestly looks like White had a clear advantage for a lot of the game. And I understand that because my rook was not developed very well by the end of the game. And, you know, after castling, I moved my kingside knight out, or rook out. But I've realized now that, well, it was such an active game at the end after the break. I don't think I had a lot of time to move my rook out, but I really should have developed my rook further. And it looks like, just looking at this game, he just kept a very strong presence all throughout the game. Oh, my black side really needs work. He is much better than me, definitely. Yeah, I had a lot more mistakes there. Quite a few blunders as well. Blunder! So, yeah. That's not surprising. What are move times? Oh, that's interesting. Alright, so let's just go through the game and bop, 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 bop. And actually, let's turn on the local variation. Block the move. Yeah, I gotcha. And they're saying start with that. And for a little second there, I had a decent advantage. But then I threw it all away. So the advantage keeps slowly building on the side. I guess because of the potential traits that he can maneuver. This break, yeah, wasn't a very good idea. As I said before, I should have castled. I should have moved my queen out of the way before I even thought of breaking. Okay, here we go. I wasn't too far down there, but as soon as I allowed this to happen, I was quite proud of that move. And then I'm in a pretty hard position. And now I've just realized that I've gone through the game without actually looking at without looking at the places where I made my big mix-ups. So let's look at my first big mistake here. Best move was bishop instead of moving this b6. Okay, I can agree with that. Bishop to g4. And then the line would have continued as such, huh? I guess the idea would be that now I have my 2 rooks up. I'm supposed to push forward. The next move they suggest is this. Then he's just gonna take, right? Ah, he takes on this side that way. That makes sense. That's better. That is better. But he can do that. Then what? Then I just have to run away? Doesn't seem like a very great move. Okay, screw that. What about that? Oh, yeah, that's terrible. Dicks, alright. Okay, I see why. I see the reason. I see everything clearly now. The sun has come. Alright. So that would have been interesting to see. Apparently he makes a mistake here. And I'm not too interested. And in fact, I'll just move to my next mistake. Here. So I played the break. But it's saying I should have just gone here. Traded up. And then traded further. Interesting. Okay. Okay. I see why people now... I see why the basic principles of chess suggest that you try to get to the king to safety earlier now. Because the problem I see in this game is that a lot of the endgame was me trying to keep the king in a safe spot, which shouldn't have really been a problem. And I see that as yeah, okay, that makes sense. And I see now something else as well. If I'm going to designate a side as my shield, then I have to make sure that I'm not using my shield to defend things, because the way that it broke, I ended up breaking my shield, which in the end destroyed me. Very interesting. And another thing I see as a benefit to him is that his shield, yes, it doesn't have a lift right now, but this works very well when your shield is at the bottom. So if I do end up in another situation like that from now on, one way for me to choose which way I want to castle will probably depend on how much major and minor material he has on whichever side of the board, but also by the way that the diagonal pawns are going. I don't know. Maybe that's a weak theory. Yeah, that theory maybe doesn't pan out. But at least one lesson I've learned tonight is this. If you have a pawn shield, don't use your pawns. Don't depend on the pawns within that pawn shield to defend your pieces. Yeah, so that's something very important I learned. Yeah, so I'm gonna write that in my little Google Drive of notes here, because I think that's a very important thing to remember under my chess theories. Endgame general theories. Alright. If you have a pawn shield, do not rely on those pawns for defense of other pieces. So I think that's a pretty nifty little thing to think about. Cool. Very cool. I learned something very useful there. Because, yeah, after the trade, that was bad news bears. I opened up that line, and now look at this. That's really bad. And this is interesting here. Moving here. That's good. Indeed. Okay. And he says to develop this pawn, but look at this burnt out pawn structure as well. He did a wonderful job keeping his mid pawns all connected like that, with 3 pawns no less. I feel like that was a really strong play on his part. You know, endgame controlling that mid control, that's a great way to make people work around it. That was wonderful. Oh, yeah. So for tonight, I think I'm lacking the concentration and focus now to look at the rest of the suggested plays, honestly, but yeah, a lot of these plays that the computer suggests often are so high level and so many turns ahead that I just don't really understand the full potential for a lot of these. So you want me to take? Then he takes. Then what happens? I have to defend over here? That looks pretty shitty. Alright, you're gonna do that, huh? Okay. Oh, then my chances go up because I would take a... Right. Oh. How did I miss this? That's embarrassing. So I was so afraid of his queen here checkmating me that I didn't realize that the square was completely in my control. Oh, so I could have moved my rook back, and that would have been perfectly fine. Interestingly enough, he could have done this, though. And then he could have done that. But now he can't do this. So I would have been fine. Oh, so that was a really big miss there. Big miss on my part. So maybe I wasn't too far down. It's just that I panicked and I didn't read the lines correctly. That's why they have these tools, man. That's why they have these tools, and I didn't make use of them, and I just panicked on a line. Just psychological. Right? I could have done that. And that would have been fine. What now, bitches? No, I'm just kidding. Oh, yeah. So I'm getting a phone call, and that line definitely shows that that was a huge blunder in this game. So that'll definitely be something I have to think about for my future. The lesson there, I think, is that when you see a line of attack, of potential checkmate, just think it through. Think it through very carefully. Take extra time. Because let's look at the time here. Move times. I definitely took a little bit of move time here on move 19. But not enough time. I felt like I definitely took more time over here when it came to that bishop move. But yeah, oh well, such is life. Well, I gotta go. I have to make a phone call, so I'm sorry for cutting the analysis a little short. I'm sorry to myself for cutting the analysis a little short, but that's definitely something I want to keep in mind for myself. for the future, that misread on the potential checkmate line lost me a major piece for a minor piece. And in the end, I tried to pick it up again, but I have to really remember some of my own checklist things before you make a move. What squares and pieces are your piece defending? You know, thinking about that, and really trying to deflect that, deflecting the checkmate from happening. I really should have paid more attention. Well, it was a fun game, and I feel like even with a couple of the big blunders that I made, one with that fear of checkmate, and then losing concentration at the end of that game with that pinned skewer, I think besides that, I enjoyed the opening game, creating the formation, and I enjoyed that particular bishop move that I made. I thought that was quite a good move. Apparently the computer doesn't think very highly of either of us on the exclamation points here, but hopefully one day I'll be good enough to get some kind of congratulatory excellent move from the computer at some point. Alright, well, I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. And before I leave, as I've done since I started yesterday, I'm going to give a couple of shout outs. Thank you to Lee Chess for having an excellent free program online. If you guys haven't played chess online before and you're interested in playing chess, leechess.org is a great place to start. Creating a user account is free, and finding somebody your level to play is pretty easy. They have daily tournaments, as you can tell, and they have a great leaderboard, and they have an enormous library of tactics that you can train with in both easy, normal, and hard mode. So that's a lot of fun. And some people might say some of the trading tactics don't have focus or really strive towards a purpose, but I personally have found them to be quite fun, and having tactics that you can work on to practice your checklist of process is always a good thing to have. So I'm quite okay with it. And furthermore, they also have a couple of other neat features. The study feature is probably one of my favorite features, where you can make different chapters of studies. And let's see, if we go to a popular study here, such as looking at different things like copying historical masterpieces, you can take a look at different games that people have saved in their studies, with their notations as well, about different potential lines that happen. And this study doesn't have it, but if we look at a potential let's see, what's a good one? Yeah, if you look at a potential game like this that I've added into a study, you can save your comments here and check out different lines as you analyze the game. So there's a lot of fun that you can have with the studies. Highly recommended. Very highly recommended. Okay, cool. Well, there's Lee Chess. And then the second group of people that I want to thank, of course, are the people who've created the music. If you guys don't know, I'm using royalty-free music, but royalty-free music doesn't necessarily mean that the music is free, just that you might have to pay for it once and then use it anytime you want. Thankfully, all of this royalty music is free, and these creators have just required just a little link in the description, but I wanted to give them a shout out in the video as well. Thank you to the creators of all the music. Their names and the links to their homepages, as well as the source music, is all in my description. So thank you to Bellabeth, Johnny Easton, Mattia Cupelli, Brian Lowe, Teknoaxe, Whitesand Music, and Gabriel Tosi for creating such lovely music and letting me use it in my videos. Well, I've already said my goodbyes, so I guess I'll just leave you there.